All right, good morning to one and all. We are here for the webinar on career path in automotive industries by Mr. Praveen Kumar S. He's a CEO of Disenosys. And to tell about the guest for us today, he's an ambitious person with zeal to do something different in life, decided to shape his idea into a business model which brings in joyful and successful stories to cherish along with profits. Being a mechanical engineer, right from the beginning, he underwent a long struggle of upskilling himself to prepare himself for core jobs and rising up to desired position in the industry. He has closely observed and analyzed the gap between the technical requirements of the organizations and fresh graduates and young professionals. He understood the ground veracity is that industries today are giving more preference to practical skills and experience rather than just holding the degree. After a year of research and collaboration with his industry peers, he decided to start his own edtech platform that will help students and professionals equip and overpass the gap. He has a total experience of 15 years and he has worked with companies such as Ashok Leyland, Daimler, Ford, and Renault Nissan. And he's a flamboyant speaker and he speaks on a lot of topics such as future of the automotive industry, how to become a design engineer, expectation of a fresher in the automotive industry, advanced CATIA V5 for automotive design, automotive body and white product design, automotive interior and exterior trims product design. And he's also a CATIA certified expert as well. We welcome you, sir. On
Thank you,
behalf
sir.
of the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Panama Institute of Technology, I take immense pleasure in welcoming Mr. S. Praveen, CEO of Disenosys. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for your introduction, sir. And it's been a pleasure meeting all of you, one and all. Yeah, and I welcome all the students and faculty of Panimular Institute of Technology. And thank you, Mr. Praveen, sir, for giving me this opportunity. And thank you, and to Amos David, sir. Okay, so I'll start sharing my screen. So shall we get into the presentation now?
Yes, sir, we can, sir.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, so is my screen visible to one and all?
Yes, yes, sir.
Right. My presentation, right?
Ah,
Yes. So as Sir told, so to introduce myself, I am Praveen Kumar and I am the CEO of Disenosys. We train and hire design engineers, and I have more than 14 years experience in automotive industry. Have worked with the Daimler, Ford, Renault, Nissan, and Ashok Leyland. So there's a brief interview about me. I have been the project manager in Ford and Daimler as well previously. And now to get into the topic, so yeah, we are going to talk about how, as a mechanical engineering fresher, how do you get into the automotive industry as a design engineer? So normally what happens is a fresh graduate can, after they graduate, they get into the campus interviews and then they finally move into a design engineer. That's yeah, first mode of getting into becoming a design engineer. So normally big companies, automotive companies, they do campus interviews when top engineering colleges in India. Okay, so yeah, Panimalal is one of the top institutes. So you can expect many top automotive companies to come down for a campus interview. You interview, yeah, you give your interview with them, and once you clear the interview, you become a design engineer. That's the first thing. And for those people who are unable to get placed, so there is another way of becoming a design engineer. The fresh graduate has to get trained in the requirements of the industry. So I'm going to tell you what is the requirement by the industry in some time now, and then after get, yeah, they get trained. So normally the industry works through a reference. So you can get referred by, or you can start applying for jobs, and then you can try to reach out to people who are already working in the organization. You can ask them for your reference, and reference works really well in the industry. So when someone who is already working in the industry is referring you to a position in the industry, yeah, the hiring manager or HR manager, you have a higher weightage, and then you give your interview, and then you become a design engineer. Are we clear? Right. So let me talk about the problem now. So right now in the industry, a lot of graduates pass out every year. Almost 7 lakh mechanical engineering graduates pass out every year in India. That's the statistics we have right now. But 80% of the engineers are unable to find a job in the market. The reason, see, we have a few, I have few testimony. I have people who have spoken to me. They have already mentioned that, see, sir, I am a 2018 pass out, I am a 2020 pass out, have been, I have learned all the softwares, design software, but still I'm unable to find a job in the market. No companies are hiring me, okay, because the industry, they prefer experienced people. But at least when they are going to prefer, when they prefer a fresher, they expect the fresher to be completely trained. The problem is a lot of students, if you see, okay, we have a person from Florida who has good knowledge, who is a PhD graduate, but still unable to find a job. We have people like Nitish Desai. He has 5 years of experience, but still again he is unable to find a job. We have a freshers like Aman. Okay, so 2019 pass out from SRM University, but still he is not able to find a job. The reason again is the skill set. What is required by the industry? The candidates, they do not have that skill. So that is the main problem. So we have to understand what is required by the industry and then upskill yourself to that level, so that when you go for an interview, at least to be called for an interview first. To be called for an interview, you should have the skills. And then if you get that opportunity, don't miss that opportunity. So you have to go into the interview and then crack the interview in the first place. So now I'm just going to, before we start anything, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the R&D, research and development process in an automotive company. So it starts with planning. After planning, we get into, just give me a minute. Right. So the automotive design engineers and the management, they plan what kind of car we have, they have want to build. Okay, so there are different types of car. You have SUV, you have sedan, you have hatchback, you have roadster, convertible, coupe. There are a lot of types of cars. So first, the management decides what is the market requirement. Okay, then they decide on what kind of car is required, whether it's say 3-seater car or a 4-seater car or a 7-seater car. Okay, so where the door should come. Okay, so they have to decide on, they have to plan on what kind of car is required by the market right now. And then after the planning phase, they go into the concept study. So we have styling people who do the concept study. They have, they are called a stylist. Okay, so they style the shape of the car. And after the styling team, they style the shape of the car, it goes into clay modeling. So there's a separate team who do the exact clay model of the car, and they do sculpting. And then the vehicle architecture team, they work on the vehicle architecture. So the vehicle architecture, it's nothing but where you have to get your seats, where you have to get your airbags. So the position and placement of all the each component in the industry is done by the vehicle architecture team. And then after the position, after the vehicle architecture is completed, they get into the detailed design. Okay, so when I say detailed design, each component in a car, okay, the body, the interiors, the seat, the powertrain, the engine, each part of the car is developed by a separate different team. More than 2000 people work together to design a team, and not just from India, people from USA, people from Australia, people from UK. There are a lot of design engineers involved in the design of car, a single car. And it normally takes 3 years to design a car. That's the average time. Many cars like Mustang or top cars, they take more than 10 years to be designed completely. So after the vehicle architecture team, the detailed design team, that is the powertrain team, design the engine components, the transmission components. The brakes team, they design the brakes. The steering team, they design the steering components, be it the steering wheel or the columns. The seating team, they design the seating of the car. Everything they then put together to make a final component. Okay, so the detailed design is done by the team, and then after the detailed design is done, you have to manufacture the components, right? And to manufacture a component, the components you need the tools for the mission. So tooling design is a separate. What we are talking about, the detailed design here is the product design, and this is the tool design. Both are two entirely new different designs. Product design is different, and tooling design is different. And then there comes even fixture design, big jigs and fixture design. That's a separate, different design concept. And then after the tooling design is done, we get into prototype. Why do we need a prototype? To understand whether the design that we have made is feasible, whether it's reliable. So the prototype is used for testing. Okay. So actually, there's a spelling mistake here. It's production trial. Okay. So the after they use the prototype to test the component, vehicle testing, and then finally they get into the product launch. This is the basic overview of how a design process happens in the industry. Okay. Now, once you understand the complete components, the next question is, how do you become a design engineer? So when I ask a lot of students, how do you want to become a design engineer? Yes, everyone feels that, okay, I need to learn some software to become a design engineer, right? So that's the basic concept of every student. Okay, everyone thinks that, okay, if I learn some CATIA software, if I learn ANSYS, if I learn Hypermesh, Abacus, SolidWorks, Fluent, NX, if I learn all these softwares, I can become a design engineer. No, that's a big miss or assumption or mistake the students make. A design engineer is not a person who works only on software. They need to be very, very technically trained. Okay, they should have very good technical knowledge. So when I start to say technical knowledge, I'll tell you what I mean by technical knowledge. So first thing, let's get into the software part. Of course, a design engineer has to learn software. Okay, and but not all the software. So people say that I need to learn CATIA, I need to learn NX. There are a lot of softwares in the market, but only few softwares are used by the companies. Okay, so if you learn ANSYS, if you learn SolidWorks, Hypermesh, Abacus, that's not going to help you. That's what I'm trying to say. So the automotive industry, no, I normally uses two different software. Okay, only two softwares are widely used in the automotive industry. Almost 99% of the companies use either CATIA V5 or NX. 1% of the companies use Creo. Very few. I can even say only one, I think, right now. So only Caterpillar uses Creo. And if you take CATIA V5 and you know NX, yes, you have all these companies that are using. These are just few of the companies for your reference, but there are a lot of companies who use either CATIA V5 or Siemens NX. So Hyundai, Toyota, Volkswagen, Ford, PSA. PSA is one of the biggest group in the automotive industry right now. PSA, you have Chrysler, Fiat, Pugo, all this will come under PSA group. Honda, Renault, BMW, Mahindra, Tata, everyone uses CATIA V5. And NX, yeah. So if you see, we call Renault Nissan, right? Renault Nissan. So Renault uses CATIA V5, whereas Nissan uses NX. The same way in the PSA group, you have Chrysler. Chrysler uses CATIA V5, whereas Fiat uses NX. So Nissan, Suzuki, Daimler is a parent company of Mercedes-Benz. Then you have Mazda, you have Chrysler. Chrysler right now uses CATIA V5. This is an old data. Chrysler uses CATIA V5 now. Isuzu, Mitsubishi, and Fiat. Everyone uses NX now. Are we clear now? So these are the two different softwares used by the industry. So if you get good expertise, I won't say trained. Training, being trained is not enough right now. Okay, there are people in the market right now with excellent knowledge in CATIA V5, excellent designing skills. Okay, you have to be an expert in on software. So learning, becoming a jack of all trades is not enough right now. You have to be a master of one particular software. That is going to help you get a job in the industry now.
இருப்பா இருப்பா
So when I talk about the different departments in the OEM, okay, so get trained in a software, and then you have to understand what are the different departments in an automotive OEM. We have the part design, we have the CAE team, we have the manufacturing team.
ஒன்றும் ஒன்றும்
Under
வீடெல்லாம்
part design, you
போட்டுருக்கியா
have
ஒன்றும்
different
போடுற மாதிரி
departments. You
தெரில
have body in white, BAW
பிஸியா
department, you have plastic trims, exteriors, you have interiors, you have chassis, you have engine,
வீடியோ இதெல்லாம் போடுவானே
yeah, you have powertrain, vehicle wiring harness, electrical wiring harness, seating, air conditioning, HVAC. There are a lot of designs teams in the companies. Okay, brakes is a separate team.
எந்த ரெகுலேஷன்
Axle is a separate design team. Axle. Okay, so you have powertrain, that is engine and transmission. Both come under powertrain, and driveline.
ஓம்
It's a separate
பிரகாஷ்
team. Suspension is
என்ன
a separate team. So these are all different teams. You
ஒரு
have
பேப்பர்
to
கிரியேட்
understand,
பண்ணிக்கிறேன்
or you have to choose
ப்ராஜெக்ட் ஒர்க்
which component is yeah, you're more passionate on, okay, on designing. So you have to choose a particular component, gain knowledge and expertise on that, and then apply for jobs. Say similarly, if you want to get into CAE analysis, many people think that if I learn answers, I can find a job. Hypermesh, they're just tools. They're just tools to make your work easier. That's it. But the actual application lies in how you're going to use the answers. Okay, so normally many companies use ANSA for pre-processing. Many companies use Hypermesh for pre-processing. Then for solving, a lot of companies use LS-DYNA. Few companies use Abacus. Ford, if they use Abacus. Abacus is now Simulia. And then very few companies use ANSYS at all
Yeah.
in the automotive industry. So a lot of companies, they don't use ANSYS in the automotive industry. So we have to understand how to use that for crash. Crash worthiness is a team. NVH, noise, vibration, harshness. It's a separate team. Structural durability is a separate team. Engine simulation, structural rigidity. So these are the different applications of your CAE tool. So gain expertise on all this. Then finally, there are people who want to get into manufacturing. Few people want to get into design, few people want to get into manufacturing. So in the manufacturing, you have fixture design, you have tool design, mold design, stamping simulation, welding simulation, trims and change, chassis fitment. So these are all will fall under manufacturing. So choose where you want to get, where you want to gain expertise, gain knowledge on that, and then it will become easier for you to get into the industry. So I'm just taking an example of BIW. So I told you that we need technical expertise, technical knowledge, right? So what do I mean by technical knowledge? That's what I'm going to talk about here. So I'm just taking a body in white component. I said BIW here, right? So this is body in white. Body in white stands for the outer welded sheet metal components which has been welded together. That's called what you call body in white. So this is the body in white structure, and these are the closures: the door, the tailgate, the hood, the roof. They come under closures. Okay, so body in white structure and body in white closure. Under the structure you have underbody, upper body. Upper body will have the roof, everything. This will be the upper body. This is the underbody. Are we clear? So these are all you have to understand. What are the different components which come under body in white? So when I say body in white, so this is a, okay, this is an inner pillar. You have a center inner pillar. You have a floor here. You have the middle
என்ன
floor
டிகிரி
cross member.
முடிச்சா அவனுக்கு
So these are the
என்ன
different
டிகிரி
technical
சர்டிஃபிகேட்
knowledge terminologies we use
ஆஃபீஸில்
in the
போஸ்ட்
industry.
ஆஃபீஸ்
What is the name of this component? Okay, this is a front bulkhead.
ஓகே ஓகே
Okay, what's a front side frame? So what's a rear panel? What's a front floor? This is a front floor. This is a rear floor.
சைன் வாங்கிட்டீங்களா
Okay, there's a floor panel actually.
கொடுத்துட்டு அவங்க
Floor panel. And you
என்னன்னு
have the
சொல்லுவாங்க
inside sill.
சார்
Why do we
நீங்கள்
use an
நீங்கள்
inside sill?
நீங்கள்
Okay, where
அனௌன்ஸர்
is the
டேரெக்டாக
upper
போய் தான்
stiffener
வாங்குறாங்க கவுசர்
for your rear frame? Okay, so if you take, this is the body in white. You have the body main. Body in main, you have the entire components. Your roof,
ரெண்டு
your
மேலே
upper
கட்டிட்டு
back.
ஆ
Okay, your
சரி
body underbody, your body right side and body left side.
அவங்களுக்கு
Okay, your
ப்ரொசீஜர்
cowl,
தெரியும் ஏன்னா நிறைய பசங்க மாதிரி
your
வந்திருக்கேன்
engine
இது மாதிரி
compartment.
அரியர்
This
இருந்துச்சு
will
சார்
be your engine
முடிச்சிட்டோம்
compartment. This is a
எக்ஸாம்பிள்
passenger
தெரியும்ல
compartment, and this is the
அந்த மாதிரி
luggage
கேளுங்க
compartment.
யார் இருக்கிறாங்களோ கேளுங்க முடிச்சிட்டோம் சார்
Okay,
முடிச்சுட்டு
the
நம்ம சைன்
trunklet.
வாங்கிடுறோம் அடுத்து
This is called
ப்ரொசீஜர்
a
எங்களுக்கு
trunklet.
டிகிரி
This is the body,
சர்டிஃபிகேட்
the
வேணும்
front
என்ன பண்ணணும்னு சொல்லிட்டு
rear,
கொஞ்சம் கேளுங்க
the
ஹெல்ப்
fender. This is
பண்ணுவோம்
actually the fender.
ஓகே
Your doors, where does your door comes? Okay, where you have your airflow, your front, yeah, the airflow here. This is your airflow. So you should have basic understanding of the different components which comes under a car. This is only the basics of body in white. So likewise, we have engine team. So in the engine, where you have your piston, what is the oil holes, oil rings, what is the angle at which it goes? Why do you have a dowel at the top of the piston? If you take the casing of an engine casing or a powertrain casing, a transmission casing, why do you have fillets over it? Why do you have a draft angle? So these are all the different knowledge you should get. And then you have design considerations. So when I talk about design consideration, okay, so we have a draw here, okay. So what should be the depth of the draw? Why should we have the minimum depth here? Why shouldn't we have a larger depth? Okay, why shouldn't we have a backdraft? Okay, so why shouldn't we have a negative angle? Okay, so these are all the basic knowledge that the industry will expect you to have. Okay, of course you are going to gain that when you start working, but the basics, design consideration, tooling knowledge, those are really mandatory for any design engineer. Material selection is very important. Okay, so when you drive a car, which parts of the car has to be have yeah, high strength? Okay, which part doesn't need high strength? See, if you see that these kind of parts need high strength here. Okay, so depending on the high strength, what kind of material you are going to choose for a part. So when I say what kind of materials, there are different types of steel we use in the industry. So which steel is required to form which component? So this A pillar, it requires higher strength. So you decide which kind of steel is required. Okay, so there are different kind of steel, there are different kind of aluminum alloys, there are different composition of yeah, carbon fibers. So where does each part or each material, where does it go and sit, or which part or which material is to be used for which kind of components? Those knowledge. So these are all just the basic technical knowledge we expect in the industry. Now, hope you understand now. So first thing, you have the CAD. You have to become an expert in a CAD software, either CATIA or NX. Then you should have good knowledge on the technical aspect of design. Okay. So now after yeah, we learn everything. Now comes down to your career path. So what is the actual career path of an automotive design engineer? Once you graduate from your college, you become a graduate engineer trainee or junior design engineer. Okay, so normally the junior design engineer or GETs, they can expect a pay of around 2.5 or 3 to up to 5 lakhs. So that's for a 0 to 1 year experience person in design. Okay, once you gain experience in that, you slowly become a design engineer or a senior engineer after 2 to 5 years experience in the industry. So when you get into the 2 to 5 years of experience, yeah, you can expect a pay of 5 to 9 lakhs per annum. And then slowly you become an assistant manager or team lead, and you can expect a pay of 8 to 15 lakh per annum, and which happens around 5 to 8 years in your after your in your career. So this is the growth what you can see. Then you become a manager or domain lead. Okay, that happens after you gain experience in the industry for 8 to 13 years, and then the pay scale would be around 15 to 25 lakhs for a manager position. And finally, yeah, if you take Ford, they pay around 36 lakhs for managers. And then GM. So once you gain very good experience in a particular domain, choose a domain. Gain once you gain
மேனேஜர்
experience,
ஆனால் டிசைன் ஃபீல்டில் 25
your pay
லட்சம்
scale drastically changes.
மந்த்து கொடுக்குறான்.
So you people, a lot of engineers, they expect to get 5 lakh, 10 lakh package right in the fresher stage. That happens with Byju's in sales, okay, but not in the industry, in the mechanical industry. So you will start with the 2.5 to 5 lakh, depends on how you perform in the industry, depends on your knowledge level. Okay, and but when you gain your experience, you can even earn up to 50 lakhs per annum for a GM or VP level position. This is going to be the career path of a design engineer in the automotive industry. So what is the skill set? What is required, what is the requirement of the industry, what do we expect from you. So for a basic entry level position, you should have good knowledge on your CAD skills. You should have knowledge on the component of your like if you're giving an interview for a plastic trims position, or if you're giving an interview for a BAW position, you should have good understanding of what are the components which come under BAW, what are the components which come under plastic trims, what is a yeah, what's a dashboard, what's an instrument panel, what's a seat yeah, what kind of materials is used in the seat cover, what is an armrest, okay, what's a coin holder. So then you should have material knowledge of these components, and then finally your manufacturing process. So how do we manufacture a particular component? That is the expectation for an entry level person. For an intermediate level person, we expect them to have very good CAD modeling creation knowledge, vehicle development process knowledge, your master sections and packaging study. Packaging study is done by the architecture team, okay, and this is actually normally expected from a person who has already worked in the industry for 2 years or 3 years. And when they go for any other interview, this will be the expectation. If you have already worked in a company for 3 years, okay, the next company will expect you to have a good understanding of architecture, master sections, CAE and manufacturing feedback. Okay, how do you, what do you get from the CAE team? How do you interpret the results? And finally, technical documentation. And once you gain more than 5 to 6 years experience, you get into the expert level. And when you apply for a job, the minimum expectation would be you should be an excellent in CAD evaluation, because you're not going to create CAD then. Junior level people, they do the CAD work. You should be able to evaluate whether the CAD done by the junior level people is good or not. Your vehicle development process knowledge should be perfect. Your tool development, you should be developing the tool on your own. You will be working on the advanced design concepts. You will also be working on cost, how to reduce the cost, and how to design the, how to evaluate the design, and how to propose to the client. That is required by expert level people, because they will be in the team lead position or the managerial position. That is the expectation of the industry. So as a fresher, now how do you get into a design engineering position? So the basic requirement, first thing is you should have really good academic performance. Almost all the companies in the market right now, they expect minimum 60 percentage of marks from your 10th standard, 12th, diploma, and if you have done diploma, yes, and directly into a graduation, yeah, next into graduation. So minimum 60 percentage of mark is required in all these levels, 10th, 12th, and your graduation. So if you have less than 60 percentage of marks, then a lot of companies, even if your profile is really good, if you have skill sets, they don't prefer you. So aim to have 60 percentage of marks minimum. You, yeah, the top performance are always preferred in the industry. So if you have more than 80, 85 percentage of marks, you, that's a plus point. But again, you should have good technical knowledge, sound technical knowledge on your basics, that is thermodynamics, material selections, materials. You should have good knowledge on kinematics. You have should have good knowledge on strength of materials. Strength of materials is a really very good subject if you want to become a design engineer, because that shows how to calculate the strength of a particular component that you're going to design. Your kinematics is really necessary for a design engineer, so they should be able to know how a component is going to uh, perform, or how a behave. Yeah, the correct word is how a component is going to behave. So strength of materials, kinematics is really important. You should have very good communication skill, okay. Normally a lot of people I see, they know everything, but how do I know that they know everything? Unless they communicate to me whether they are good in a particular technology or skill, we won't know whether they are good. So your communication skill is really very very important to succeed in this industry. Then certification relevant to the job, okay. So again, if you say that you know something, we expect you to have some certificates. I'm a Dassault certified CAT expert. So when Dassault systems, they certify me, then that means that, okay, so Dassault Systems is the developer of CATIA. So when someone certifies me, when the own company certifies me, then that makes me an CATIA expert. I have been certified in Six Sigma. So what is Six Sigma? And okay, it's a process improvement process. So Ford has certified me as a Six Sigma green belt. So that means that I am also good in Six Sigma. So your certification will also gain have huge advantage, huge value. And then your project internship. Okay, so the project that you're working on, your how many internship you have done in your during your college days, that will show you a basic understanding of how an industry works. Okay, so don't get into interviews or don't get into work blindly. Attend a lot of internships that will entirely shift your focus on how the industry works. You'll have good knowledge on how the industry works, and then you'll start applying for these companies. They will prefer people who have completed a lot of internships. Then of course 30 percentage of the, when during your interview, 30 percentage of your of the like 30 percentage will go only for your CAD skills. Okay, weightage, I mean the weightage goes for the CAD skills. Again 30 percentage weightage goes for the technical skills, 10 percentage for your communication, and the remaining 20 percentage for your attitude. When I say attitude, what do you mean by attitude? Okay, so your interest in learning new things. Okay, your passion to take up new challenges. These are all your attitude. So, or you do you have a positive attitude? Do you love to learn new things? How engaging are you with your team members? How engaging you are with your people? So that's an attitude. So people always, the recruiting managers, hiring managers, we see your attitude. Attitude is very very important. And finally, your soft skills, your communication, your leadership, these all will fall under soft skills. Okay, now coming down to the point why freshers struggle to get a job in the industry. Many people are confused on what to do, whether I should take design, whether I should get into quality, whether I should get into manufacturing, whether I should get into production, whether I should get into sales and marketing. They're confused on which field to choose. Okay, so in presently in the mechanical industry, the design pays the highest. People in the manufacturing companies, okay, they, even after 5 to 10 years, many, I have seen a lot of employees or a lot of people who are still getting 25,000 or 30,000 per month. Okay, whereas in the design industry, by the time you get into the 10 years experience, you will be earning more than a lakh. So that's why people prefer the design industry. And then many people, they try out a lot of things to get into design, but without proper skill sets, they don't get a job in the industry. So after 1 to 2 years, after continuously trying to get into the
சரியா
design
அவ்வளோ
industry,
கிட்ட
many
உட்காந்துக்கிறீங்க?
people prefer move into
எல்லாம்
IT jobs.
நார்மலாக தான் உட்காருங்க.
So because IT job, there are a lot of jobs in
சாஞ்சு
the market
உட்காருங்க.
out there. There are a lot of
ஸ்மைல்
competition.
பண்ணுங்க.
So if you know software, if you know programming, you can easily get an IT job. So people, they lose focus on design. There are a lot of design engineers who want to get into design because that's a passion, that's their passion. But finally, when they don't have the skill sets, they finally move into the IT job. And yeah, main thing is, people, many people, they don't know about themselves. So as a, since I think a lot of all of you are final year students, so do a SWOT analysis. Okay, so if you don't know what is SWOT, SWOT stands for strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. What is your strength? Whether you are good in technical skills, that's your strength. What's your weakness? Okay, don't, if you don't know how to communicate, that becomes your weakness. Opportunities and threats. So where do you find yourself? Where, what kind of opportunities you can find yourself, and what is a threat? So where do you lack? Where, what happens if the interviewer asks a question which you don't know? Okay, how you are going to prepare for that? So yes, SWOT analysis is very very important for a mechanical engineer. So understand yourself. And then lack of technical skills. People, they know a lot of CAD, but people, there are a lot of students who don't know the technical skills. That's why they struggle to get a job in the industry. And communication skill, yeah, almost 80%, 70 to 80% of the students that I meet, they know a lot of things, but they're not unable to communicate it to me properly, and finally they fail in the interview. So improve your communication skill. And finally, interview preparation. So what do you do when you have an examination? You sit down and prepare for the examination, right? Interview is similar to that. When you prepare for an examination, you have to prepare the exact way for an interview. You have to talk in front of a mirror, you have to talk to people, you have to take a lot of mock interviews before you go for an interview. Because even if you know a lot of things, even if you have good communication skill, the moment when you go for an interview, uh, you start panicking. Okay, a lot of students, they get stressed during the interview. So when an interviewer asks you a question, and you if you are stressed completely, you don't even think about the answer. You might know the answer, but you wouldn't the answer wouldn't come down to you. So take up a lot of mock interviews. Prepare yourself for the interview before you give the interview. If you prepare, you can easily succeed in any interviews. Okay, so over to questions. I think the session was helpful for you, how to become a design engineer. So if you have any questions, of course, please feel free to ask me now.
Participants, so if you have any questions, you can ask our guest. You can unmute yourself or you can post the questions on the chat box and I can read it for you.
I hope the session was informative for you, all of you. Was it?
Can you guys respond?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, yes. Any questions? I have a question, sir. So, what is the current scenario, sir, for graduates entering into a company, especially
The
mechanical graduates?
Right. Yes, sir. That's a very good question. Okay. The market is in a huge boom now, like compared to the last 15 years. In the last 15 years, we haven't seen such huge boom now. So even we have more than thousands of requirements with our clients. So we have never seen such requirements right now in the automotive market now.
Sir, another question.
Yes, sir.
Sir, basically we're using answers for the analyzing. Is any other software, alternate software they're using in industry for analyzing and simulation?
Yes. Normally in the industry, so we have two different teams. Okay, pre-processing team and the solving team. So the pre-processing team will not use the solving software. The solving team, they won't use any pre-processing. They get the input from the pre-processing team. For pre-processing, we use ANSA and Hypermesh. ANSA, mostly ANSA. Okay. And for solving, a lot of companies use LS-DYNA and Abacus.
So
Not much answers.
Abacus
Yeah.
is that software which is giving only
Yes, sir.
analyzing view.
Couldn't get your question, sir. Can you please? Hello.
Like getting from sir, I can get you.
Sir, I didn't get you. So I couldn't hear your question. Can you please repeat it, sir?
Okay, sir. Abacus is used for what purpose actually in industry?
It's a solver, similar to answers.
So, oh, similar to
Yes,
answers, sir. Okay.
it's similar to answers.
Okay. So any other modeling software in which most company prefer to using?
When you take modeling, see, there are two different teams. A CAE person will not work on CAD. The CAD person will not work on CAE. So if you're focusing on getting into becoming design engineer, you need not learn any analyzing software. If you're focusing on becoming an analysis engineer, CAE engineer, don't focus on any CAD software.
Okay.
So yeah, for CAD, yeah, people, a lot of companies, they use CATIA or NX. Only these two softwares are widely used.
Oh, Unigraphics, sir. Is that correct?
Unigraphics, NX, correct. Become an expert in one software. That is more than enough. You don't have to learn both.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. So actually, what a scenario is going on? Basically, in the industries, actually based on design, most of the if the students are equipped with the NX, sir.
Hmm.
That is enough to get a job in
That is
market.
really enough, more than enough to get a job. So when you learn NX, that's what I said. Okay, you shouldn't be just a mediocre in NX. You shouldn't know the basics. You should have very good skill sets, advanced level knowledge in NX. So what happens in the industry is people they do a lot of programs outside. They learn NX, but the basics. But during the interview, we will give the tool test will not be on basic components. We'll give you any BAW component. We can give you any plastic component. Okay, so they should have very good knowledge on NX to clear these components.
Okay,
Only when you clear the tool test, you can get into the industry.
what about the basic tools?
Yes, you know, you should be able to know how to apply the commands to create a component. That application knowledge is missing in a lot of students.
So basically, in Tamil Nadu, what are the R&Ds we have in the Tamil Nadu? So for the automotive industries.
Yeah, most of the automotive companies have names R&D team. Okay, but normally almost R&D doesn't happen in India at all for the companies outside India. When you take Ford, when you take Hyundai or Toyota or Volkswagen, all these companies are like American companies, Japanese companies, right? So the R&D, actual R&D happens in their parent country.
Okay.
The only support team will be here. They give you they do all the R&D work and they give you the activities here. So if you take the Indian companies like Tata Motors, yes, I'm coming down to that. Tata Motors, few companies like the Indian companies like Tata Motors, Mahindra, Force Motors, they do have the entire R&D facility here in
There's a
India.
Munjito, sir. Said.
R&D team for Mahindra is in Chengalpet, okay, and
The
Force
Mahindra city, is it right,
yes
sir?
in Mahindra city, right? R&D team for Tata Motors, Force
Said.
Motors, they are in Pune.
So to get a job in design industry, uh, so we can equip our students in NX, any one of the modeling software and any of C software. Is it right, sir? That is more than enough.
No CA software is required, sir. They should have knowledge on any one of the modeling software like NX or CATIA. Only two, either NX or CATIA. If they have expert knowledge in any one of these softwares, they can become a design engineer easily. Answers, AutoCAD, SolidWorks, no, not required at all. See, yeah, I would say when I passed out, okay, there was no one to guide me on this. So I learned everything. I learned AutoCAD, NX, SolidWorks, CATIA, Creo, even MS Project, Primavera, Studio Max. I learned everything right after I graduated, but I couldn't clear any interviews because I learned no, I know everything, but I was not an expert in any one particular software, and that's
Yes.
when I focused on CATIA. I took up Dassault training, and then I cleared it, and then after which I was able to clear the interviews. So focus on one software and concentrate on that, and
Sir, ಎಲ್ಲ
yeah,
ನಾಯ್ಸ್
make your
ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್
career
ಆಗುತ್ತೆ
in
ಸರ್
that
ಒಂದು
particular
ನಿಮಿಷ
software.
ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಏನಿತ್ತು
So,
yeah. Yes, sir. I have another question that they have put it
Any
on
more
the
questions, sir?
chat box. I'm a second year mechanical student and I'm interested in
Okay,
designing,
I
but I'm
have a
so
question
confused
from
what I need to be focused
Lokeshwar.
on.
I'm a second year mechanical student. I'm interested in designing, but I'm too confused what I need to focus. Okay. Lokeshwar, yeah, you have to think. See, I told you there are different departments in the automotive industry. Okay, you have body in white plastics. Focus on one particular component domain. Okay, so when you focus on one particular domain, then you will have good understanding. Okay, you will be you decide on one particular thing. Okay, so don't get too confused. Right now there are a lot of openings in for BAW engineers. There are a lot of openings for plastic engineers compared to powertrain engineers. So focus on which component has more demand in the market, gain expertise on that. Then second thing, focus on which company you want to work for. So for example, if your focus is on getting placed in Ford, NX is not going to help you because Ford uses CATIA. Okay, so if your focus is on getting placed in Daimler, CATIA is not going to help you because Daimler, Mercedes-Benz all use NX. So focus on which company that you want to work for, and then get trained, get expertise in that particular software. You don't have to think too much. Okay, don't get confused. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, sir.
There's one
Any
more
more question?
question. So, any better institute for NX training? They're asking you for a suggestion.
Yes, we provide NX training, but again, as I said, software is not important. Okay, so we train in product development methodology. So we tell you how to use NX to develop BAW or plastic components. That is going to help you in your career. Learning software is not going to help you. Anyone can, anyone can, even a 12th standard passed out or a 10th standard, if you train them in a software for 1 week, they will start working on it. A mechanical engineer is not needed to work on software. You have to have knowledge on software, but again, expertise on the domain. Both are required. So we normally train people on product development methodologies, like axle design, chassis design, engine design, BAW design, plastic design, and we tell you how to use CATIO or NX, how to apply the software into your designs.
So, do companies do they recognize these private certificates? Like for example, CAD Center or anything. Do they actually recognize those certificates given by a center which is just tutoring the software, rather than, because most of the companies they actually ask for the original certification, right? Like Dassault system certification or Autodesk certification. So, do they
Okay, sir.
actually recognize those certificates, sir?
Yeah, so if you take CAD Center, or even if you take our institute, okay, CAD Center is recognized by NSDCA, National Skill Development Council. Even we are recognized by NSDCA, and moreover, we are recognized by Automotive Skill Development Council, ASDC.
Okay.
So when you have a certification which is recognized by ASDC and NSDCA, of course, that certification is going to carry value. And we are not just training people, we are hiring partners for a lot of automotive companies. So we don't just train people, we have a lot of requirements from the market. And we train the people and then we directly place them in these companies. Even in the last week, we had almost placed 30 such people. Our trained students have been placed in a lot of companies. So we have good rapport with, yeah, because again, I have very good rapport with a lot of hiring managers in the industry. So they come to me directly, hey Praveen, I have this requirement for a powertrain engineer, I have this requirement for a plastic trims engineer, do you have any trained students who have good knowledge on plastic trims? And I train people and I refer them into these companies.
Thank you, sir. So there's one last question we'll take, sir.
Yes, sir, sure.
Any certification is available for NX CAD like CSWA, CSWP for SolidWorks?
For NX, no. Siemens doesn't have any certification examination for NX right now. It's only for Dassault certification. Even Dassault certification is available for CATIA as well as for SolidWorks, but not for NX.
Okay. So all these IT companies they have this module called as PLM, Product Lifecycle Management. Most of them they recruit mechanical engineers for that? Is that
Mhm.
true, sir? And do mechanical engineers do they really work for
Yes.
that?
First, we have to understand what is PLM, Product Lifecycle Management, to answer that question. So, product lifecycle management, what is that? Okay, so you have a hard disk. Let's say you have a hard disk. You create a component and then you save it to a hard disk, right? So that's where you have store your designs. A PLM is similar to that. Okay, it's like more like a cloud, where you Google Drive. So what happens? You do something, you store it, and you send the link to another engineer, so they can download it. So PLM acts exactly like that. It's a storage mechanism and retrieving mechanism where people from around the globe can download it. When I say around the globe, only within that company, they can download that. So of course, PLM engineers are required. So you should have good knowledge on Team Center, Smart Winchell, Smart Team, Smarak. There are a lot of PLM softwares available in the market. And again, there is no peers dedicated PLM training, because when you go, because the PLM will be common, but it varies from one industry to another. Team Center is used in Renault Nissan as well as in Ford. But the Team Center we use in Renault Nissan will be entirely different from the Team Center you use in Ford. It will be customized according to the companies. So when it is customized, of course, the companies are going to give you the training when you get placed with them, when you get employed with them. And mechanical engineers, they require PLM knowledge. Of course, the companies are going to train them. And PLM customization will be done by CS graduates, computer science students, and IT people.
Thank you, sir.
So another question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Actually, a lot of IT companies like say TCS and lot of IT companies like Infosys, they have some mechanical design sectors.
Hmm.
Is it true, sir? Whether our students are can get the opportunity from that kind of sectors?
Yes, sir. That's again a really good question. Of course, see if you see TCS, Wipro, HCL, all these are IT companies, but they are all engineering service companies. So they have their team. They get projects from automotive companies like Ford, Renault Nissan, Toyota, Daimler. Okay, so these projects will go to these IT companies, and the IT companies they take in the mechanical engineers and put them under these projects. So there are a lot of right now, even right now, there are a lot of more than 1,000 requirements with the Tata Technologies alone. Just with the Tata Technologies, they have 1,000 requirements. Tata Technologies, they are supporting Force Motors and Tata Motors. So these Tata Technology people, they will be deputed in these companies. And yeah, of course, mechanical engineers are being hired by TCS, Tata Technologies, HCL, Wipro, Infosys. Ford has a separate Infosys team. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Can we wind
Yes,
up,
sir.
sir?
Yes, sir, sure, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks for this opportunity, and I believe it was an informative session for all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So, in your busy schedule, thank you for joining us for this webinar. On behalf of our HOD, Dr. N. Nityanandan, and our coordinators, Dr. R. Murugan, Mr. S. Lewis Praveen, and myself, we thank you for this, for delivering this wonderful session, sir. So, thank
Yes,
you
sir.
all.
Thank you very
And
much.
we thank all the participants who have joined as well. There were a few participants who joined us from North India. So, thank you all. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, one and all, for joining the session. Yeah, if you have any doubts, you can always reach me out on LinkedIn. I'm already available on LinkedIn, as well as you can please get in touch with Louis Praveen, sir.
Yes, sir.
And yes, sir, you can please get in touch with Mr. Louis Praveen, sir. If you have any direct questions for me, I can help you out with your
Thank you,
question.
sir. Thank you for giving an informative things and valuable time to with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Nice
sir.
talking to you all.
Thank you, sir.